Hand extending forwards, eyes extending behind. Feel the sitting bones on the cushion. So you're extending up from that point and into the hand. Drawing into the dantian with one hand, pushing out of the dantian with the other. Up and down. And then back to prayer. and up and out. One hand up, one hand down, turning the head towards the hand beside. And let's rub the hands. And then let's just rub the knees. Beginning to bring the action of the belly and the back into it. The more alive it becomes, the more the belly and the back sort of knit together into this organic machine, the more it wants to twist and turn until eventually you're sort of alternating somewhat. Good. Let's just rub the hands again. Then placing the hand on the dantian. Stop thinking and become aware. So I think mind in dantian is just our way of saying that. Get out of the head and into the belly. The belly is just the body, the center of the body. Traditionally, mind in dantian is the first instruction given in a Tai Chi class. John always used to say, as a teacher, it's very important to give it all in the first lesson, because that may be the only time you see some of the people that come. And really, it's all in that one sentence, mind in dantian. Get out of the head, out of thinking, and into the imagination, feeling, intuition. But the old ways, the old wisdom, the old mysteries. It's interesting, that word intuition, because tuition obviously just means teaching. So intuition is like a teaching that comes from within. And that's what all the teacher does really, is just try to pass on intuitions from the tradition and wake up your own ability to intuit. So this area of the dantian and the belly, it has to relax. The only way we can think incessantly the way we do is by instituting tension in the belly, the groin, the hips. When that area relaxes, then the mind will naturally come down here. Let's just rub the hands again and just try a minute of palming. And then hands over the eyes. So open the eyes, and it should be dark, no light coming through. And the hands up and out. And now just alternating in and out. And the hands up. And now let's just try a minute with the hands behind. Let's just roll the head as we sit like this. And changing direction. And then back to prayer for a sec. Do a bit of the butterfly. So how does it feel, when the hips are that much more open? Proximity to the ground. How does it feel? Straightening one leg. I just stretch the back of the leg, so the hamstring and the calf. Pulling the foot in will get into the calf. Pressing the knee down will get the hamstring a bit more. And moving across. And then back again. One more time. And then back. And then into this sumo squat. So bring strength into the lower back, so the heart is proud, the upper heart. Chin is pulled in. When the sumo guys get into this, this is how they sort of start when they get down to face each other. And they're just sort of presenting themselves. They're not really looking at the other person. They're just becoming sort of statuesque in this very delicate, wobbly stance. And then when they get on all fours with their fists on the ground, then they sort of glare at each other. They're like a pair of gorillas. And let's come up. And now let's try a little bit on the wall. So first just leaning, but gently, you don't have to lean with too much weight. And just pace like you're pushing through the wall. I'm pushing the ground backwards with my feet. I'm pushing the wall forwards with my hands. I'm just trying to bring the correct sort of tone into the body so that it becomes responsive and ready for action. Feel the sacrum, center of the body, center of the skeleton. Good. And now let's just try leaning back on the wall. Again, you don't need to put very much weight, but feel the sacrum. It's my sacrum that's on the wall. My shoulders can be forwards. I don't need the shoulders on the wall. And just sort of move the weight a little bit from foot to foot so that we're sort of massaging the sacrum into the wall a little bit, rolling it. And let that movement come up the spine and into the upper body. It's wonderful doing this with another person, so sacrum to sacrum. Into riding horse now. Feet, big toes in a little bit, little toes out. So you have to really make an effort to splay the toes. Toes just hooking down a little bit, as though you're trying to get the tips of the toes on the ground rather than the pads. I mean, you don't, but it feels like that's what you're trying to do. Feel the sacrum again. It tends to be a little bit too far back of where it should be. So if I can properly relax and just let gravity pull me, then the sacrum will drift forwards and down. So sacrum down chin, it's like a unit. And then feel gravity operating upon that. So gravity is a melting downwards. It's the solid becoming liquid. Gravity is soft. It's quite a weak force. And we want to take it to that point of almost failure, and then it really becomes an energy. Just allow the arms to drop. And just feel that streaming down. You know, the image they use of standing under the waterfall. Gravity is pulling you down, and that is forcing the earth to squeeze up into you. So the hardness and the strength from the ground rises up through you as you melt down with gravity. So the earth coming up is an aspect of gravity. And then with your mind, just move from that realm of matter into the spiritual. So the levity, what's rising up through you, or what's wanting to rise up through us if we weren't resisting so aggressively. So there's a pull from above that's trying to get an aspect of me to suck upwards. And I just want to connect with that. You can feel it as like a cheerfulness or like a mist that's rising up. John called it the sea of fire from Dr. Panizzi. Imagine these flames sort of licking up. I mean, perfect image really of levity is the candle flame, this flickering. The flame always points upwards. It's reaching for the sky. And then just allow the arms just to drift up. The arms are being pulled up by the levity. So it's like your cheerfulness, your inner levity has to intensify for it to affect the arms. So the image of this is really evaporation, you know, something rising. And then you become a little bit sad and the arms can drop down again. So you've come back, if you like, to the realm of gravity, to the realm of the world and matter. And then you venture into the world of spirit again, the imagination, energy, the make-believe, and the arms come up. Like, imagine that we're doing this with a group of children, they'd just be so good at it. So I'm shifting from realm to realm, or shifting my attention from realm. So now I'm with the lifting, the praising God, the prayer, the call to prayer. And then I come back down to earth. And again, we. And then one more. And just feel it as you relax sufficiently for your hands to lift as though by magic. It allows more sinking through the body. So the body is really dripping downwards as the hands are evaporating upwards. In the Greek church, they often pray like this, don't they? And now let's just try the circuits. So now I'm with the gravity. The gravity is flowing down through my body, somehow splitting at the sacrum to get down each leg into my roots. And then I just allow it to evaporate up, forms like a cloud over my head, and then rains down over me and through me, percolating down the body. Now just reversing it. Now it's raining all around you, and the energy's coming up your body. So you're now drawing the water out of the ground up into your leaves and branches where it evaporates and falls down. So what we want to appreciate is that as we sink down into the ground, it stimulates the ground to thrust up into us. But similarly, as we reach up to the heavens, it stimulates the heavens to reach down into us. Gravity and grace. Gravity and levity. Gravity comes up as much as it comes down. And the levity, the grace, comes down as much as it goes up. Swelling into riding force. I love that Thomas Meyer quote. Gravity is the square root of levity. So gravity is to do with roots. It's square in the sense of perpendicular to the earth, but also gravity is always much less than levity. If we allowed levity its proper place, we'd almost take off. And now let's breathe it. Really expanding and then contracting or emptying. So the vessel is emptying and then the vessel is filling. My front is expanding and opening up. And now here, my back is expanding and opening up. This is like seeing the light. And then this is like being enveloped by darkness. You can try and work to and from the root. This is my root sucking me down into the darkness, the subterranean darkness. And then this is coming out of the root and extending into the light. So hiding or concealing and then revealing. And then bring in a turn in. So as we open up, just turn to the side. Feel the use of the legs. Both legs are basically straightening. And then to come back and close up again, both legs are pulling. So if I straighten both legs and don't want to come up, then I will turn. And then just back to riding horse. Gravity, streaming or melting downwards, and the levity, which is the liquid becoming gaseous. When you think of dry ice, that's what I think of. Like, so carbon dioxide only has two phases. It's solid, either solid or it's a gas. There's no liquid phase. And just imagine you're made out of this lump of dry ice and you're quickly evaporating. Let's just move from leg to leg the way we do, straightening one leg, extending the toes, and then bending, clenching the toes, and straightening the other leg. So to change direction requires a burst of energy, and that is the clenching part, which is short, sudden, and it's followed up by a long emptying from the straightening leg. Chinese talk about thunder and wind. Thunder is the sudden clap, and the wind is long and continuous. I want to feel the straightening, the extending as coming from a tightening. Like the tube of toothpaste, you squeeze the tube of toothpaste laterally and it gets a longitudinal extension of toothpaste coming out at the end. So something inside me is squeezing, the muscles around the bones are tightening, and that's extending. Very much like the octopus and its tentacle. Imagine the mind of the octopus. What does it need to do? What feeling does it need to go through to get that tentacle to extend out? It needs a sense of curiosity, but it also needs to be able to tighten and become ruthless. allow the turning to sort of sneak in. So when the leg straightens, it pushes you away from it, so you're turning the other way. And when you pull with the leg, it's turning you towards it. Try and keep the sacrum and the hips really relaxing all the time. When the sacrum and the hips, the dantian, when it all relaxes that area, then you have a much more conscious connection with the ground, almost like you have an awareness that's beneath the dantian. That's what we want to connect to. So we're very aware of what's happening above the dantian. The sense that your hands can dip down beneath the dantian, if you can, even below the knee. Let's just come back to riding horses. So again, just feel the sacrum. That should just be hanging lazily down. Your legs aren't lazy, but your sacrum is. Drooping buttocks. The buttocks are trying to melt down into the hamstrings. Now let's just try that one where we tighten both legs at the same time to pull ourselves down. So just imagine there's no gravity and you somehow have to go down. Just imagine that your feet are stuck on the ground and just bend the legs. Consciously bend the legs. I bend the legs using my hamstrings if I can, and that will suck me down into them. And now I come up simply by reversing that and pushing down into my heels. So here I'm trying to pull the ground upwards into my dantian. And then here I'm squeezing the dantian down the legs and injecting into the ground. So this is how we use the legs, but we do it alternately when we're moving side to side or when we're turning. It's a bit more difficult to get them both happening together, but it's a good exercise. Pulling, sucking something out of the ground up into my dantian, and then I squeeze it back out. Think of the hypodermic. So I'm inserting the hypodermic, I'm injecting in, and then I'm sucking up the plunger to draw energy from the ground up into me. Try and get the toes involved. So as you straighten to inject, the toes really splay and straighten, and then they bend and clench at the ground. And a large part of what we are doing is really just trying to wake up the imagination. The imagination is like the ability to put images to feelings, but it's also the ability to put feelings to images. So all the time that you're working, you're seeing things and then just playing with them. It's a bit like dreaming whilst you're awake. These novel feelings are throwing up strange images, which you can then work with. It's just so important. At that time, John said to me, what holds me back is my inability to visualize. It's really just that. You have to be able to see feelings. Otherwise, they forever remain amorphous and fleeting. If you can put an image to a feeling, then you can work with that image even when you don't have the feeling. Again, I have to make sure this swings forwards. There's always that temptation to let the head swing forwards and look down and slip into the front brain. So the belly, that sort of second brain, they're calling it now, aren't they? It's very much connected to the back brain with our old pre-thinking being, really. So as my belly swings forwards, my head slips back. So my back brain is being stimulated by the darkness behind me. My front brain is being woken up by the light it's venturing into. Turn now. The same as moving side to side, but I want to keep my spine pretty much stationary in the middle. So I'm using the straightening of the leg to turn myself around the spine. Now, if I simply straighten this leg, it would push me into this leg. So I obviously have to do something with that leg as well. So I straighten this leg, and this leg is straightening as well to push this hip back as this hip is being pushed round. And then this one pull starts me coming back. This leg starts straightening, and then almost immediately this leg has to start straightening to stop me moving too much in that direction. We just want to dissociate the two sides of the body so we can feel how they're having to cooperate with each other to produce this smooth turn. And then letting it go. It's the same thing, it's just very light. What we want to appreciate here is that as soon as we lighten it up and start turning in a relaxed way, it encourages the levity. My body effectively becomes lighter. Feel that rising energy through the body. Centrifugal, centripetal. The centrifugal is light. It's being thrown outwards, but also rises. The centripetal is pulling in and is heavy. With all the arms wrapping around the body. Good. Let's try the two circles. One hand is pulling in as the other hand reaches behind the person. And then let it slip into the figure of 8. So it's just the image has changed. The exercise is pretty much the same. Let yourself come into the leg. What we're trying to do is come into the leg, but relax. It's very difficult because, of course, the leg has to get tense. But I want this feeling that as I sink into the leg, something opens up here and it allows this plume of energy to escape from my back here. And so the figure of 8 is simply me picking that energy up and bringing it around. What Nitzan calls the skirt, and I think what John used to call the quiver, like a quiver of arrows. So you used to feel these bands of energy here. And it's really this, I think. And this is in the form all the way through. Every time you come into a leg in the form, if you really relax and sink into it, you'll feel this billowing coming from the back of the hip or the sacroiliac. And then you can just bring it back into this point. So like this hand sort of comes in here and then it extends out of the back here. And this energy that comes out is very much of the lower body. So it's reaching down and sweeping the ground. And it's in the form, when you do brush, knee and push, and one hand just sweeps like this as the other hand pushes. So it's happening all the time in the form. And you can just allow the hand just to go with it. So a lot of the time we keep the hand up, but you can actually just drop it down to help this energy escape from your back. So you can bring it around. Now, this is just an aspect of mind in Danqian, and that requires the thinking to stop. The bad thinking, the thinking that we trying to get away from, is sort of thinking in words, thinking about something rather than being with the thing itself. And the good thinking, what the philosophers call thinking, is really just allowing the mind to produce images. So it's the imagination, really. So instead of the mind producing a stream of useless words, it's just springing up images that go with these feelings. Stop thinking and become aware. And as soon as you do that, you'll get into energy. You'll realize that the imagination is the vast part of reality. The real is much more imaginary than it is material and actual. And then the same thing, but now stepping with it. So I'm going around one foot and then around the other. And just feel the plume that comes out, and it really takes my body in this direction. sense that when I take the foot off the ground, I need to be with my sacrum, my tail, directly over this heel, which means I need to be a little bit further in this direction because I tend to have it over here. And now I just want to bring it over. So we have to see this, like there's a hole in the heel, and we want the tail just to slot into that. And it will really take you across. So here I have to really go in this direction to get this in the right position. And now we need an active tail. So we'll just do that other exercise in a sec. So the tail is extending. So my tail is trying to find the heel of the foot that I'm going to put the weight into. So my tail is here. John always used to say the tail is bifurcated. You really have two tails, one that goes with each leg. So this side of my tail, my left side is in this heel, but now the other side is trying to find this heel. So you can feel the tail as something that's swinging around a lot, or as just something that's forked. Waking up the tail is absolutely necessary if you want to stimulate and waken up the imagination. And now let's just try a little bit of this one. Just to help waken the tail. So the spirit is rising with the heel that's rising, but the tail is descending with the heel that's going down. So what I want to feel is this tip in my hips. So as I put the heel down, it's like I'm flicking the hip and trying to throw the tail out to the side. It's like I'm trying to do that figure of 8 exercise we've just been doing, coming from the tail, coming from the action of the tail. Whee. Get the hips going if you can. It's an action we're not used to. In fact, it's an action we struggle to repress. I've got a guy in one of my classes, and he's 72, I think. And he's a typical bull Israeli, real geva, as they say. And seems to have a mind that's really set. But if I can get him to do this, his bum just starts wiggling and he starts giggling and he realizes he's looking terribly gay and he's really enjoying it. And so it's that sense that it's liberating a lightness inside you a giggly child. Now let's just do a little bit with the tail swinging backwards and forwards now. It's basically the sort of breathing exercise, but just concentrate on the tail. So I'm pulling the tail under. And then I'm tightening my back muscles to extend my tail backwards. What I want to feel is it's the tip of the tail where the life is. So at the tip of the tail is like a mind of its own. And here it's, ooh, it's really wanting to come under. So I'm not really having to do anything to push it. I'm just having to wake it up and give it permission. So the tail's moving forward and now it starts swinging back. I need to do something with my body just to keep up with it. But the sense is that it's the tip of the tail that's leading. Way. And again, this is just spirit, you know, there's so much spirit in the end of the tail that's completely repressed. Same as there's a lot of spirit in the little toes and the little fingers. It's like when the old ladies are having the cup of tea with their little fingers stuck out, there's an energy in the room. It's not just an affectation, it evokes a certain energy that then enables polite conversation. The closer I can get my mind to the very tip of the tail, the finer it all becomes. The less and less physical and the more spiritual in the sense of not being physical. Okay. And now let's just try the stepping again, but with the other foot. And that feeling of the tail having this ability to just wave and sweep. It's like a big gesture. The tail reaches out. And again, the tail reaches out. Feet, big toes in, little toes out. So when I concentrate on the big toes coming in, that tends to slip the heels out. And when I concentrate on the little toes going out, it tends to pull the heels in. So remember, when I'm figure of eighting, like we have been doing, there's basically a circle enclosing each foot. So it's coming from the heel and around the outside edge through the toes and then looping across. So that is tending to send my heels out. But then within that, of course, let's just bring the feet up. Again, get the toes right. So the big toes will almost be touching, little toes out. And now here, if I just do a little bit of this exercise again, but using it to create the figure of eight within the foot, then you can see here that now I'm going around the heel from the outside around the back. So I'm going the other way. And this would be bringing the heels in towards each other. So there's two aspects. The heels are quite complicated. Partly they're reaching back and in and scooping like this. Another sense they're reaching out and around like this. And if you think about it, everything will have its shadow reality, will have its other side. Then just winding it down. Feeling the tension. What images does it throw up? The rolling fields of England. If I should die, think only this of me. It's like that sort of peaceful, it's of nature really, it's of our natural, but very much of the physical as well. Whereas this center here is very much of spirit. So when you stimulate and open this and get your imagination in there, it's just full of sprites and spirits. a different sort of life. Mind in Danshan, it's not simply a discipline. We're not just trying to tie down this unruly mind. We're sort of looking inside and just saying, what will it teach me today?